There we go. I think we're in now. Oh, there we go. I think we're finally in now. Holy cow. Sometimes it takes forever to make this thing go. I'm going to wait for something to catch up here on. There we go. I think we're good. Something to catch up here on the live. So, hey, we got a few things to go over today. I just wanted to hop in. I think I'm going to try and make this a regular Saturday thing after I release a video to talk about what it took to make the video. I'm hoping I have sound. Do I have sound? Hang on. Yeah, it looks like I have sound. There we go. I need to mute that. Okay, cool. So anyway, I just wanted to hop in here kind of on Saturdays after I put a video up and talk a little bit about the design and then catch up on some other projects because I am constantly working on, oh man, a myriad of things out here in the garage, which is awesome. So we'll start with this guy. This was way more of a challenge than I thought it would be. And I like to admit when something's got me stumped. I actually started this project in January, I think. If you look at the video, I started with a stocking cap on, and it was because it was like 20 degrees out here in the garage. It was really, really cold. And I actually shot a whole sequence of the snow outside and how cold it was in here. And I thought, oh gosh, I'm releasing this thing in July, so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But this is another one of those projects where I took what I would call some scrap wood. I wind up with, I'm going to put this down for a second. I wind up with a ton of scrap. I make these guys. Sorry. These are guitar neck rests. So if you work on guitars, you put this down on your bench and your guitar neck rests there and it keeps the headstock up off the bench. But I make them out of big blanks like this. And you can see it's kind of a triple layered laminated thing. So I've got mahogany and maple and mahogany again. And when I cut these out, I'm left with these pretty big scraps in here. And, you know, the conservative guy in me always looks at those scraps as like, what can you do with those? You could do something with those, Greg. And that's exactly where these came from. So I didn't glue these up special for the tape dispenser. They just happened to be, you know, in my scrap pile. And when I'm designing stuff, and I know I'm going to use scrap, I start with the scrap and I say, how big can I make the thing? And actually this 1/4-inch plate was scrap too. I made, oh, you can't see them from here. I guess I can do this if I can see my camera live. There we go. When I made, whoop, those shelves there, I went to my steel yard and they have a big plasma table and they sell what they call the skeletons off the plasma table. And they had a skeleton that was 1/4-inch plate and it had a big piece of it that hadn't been cut, that they didn't put anything into. So I went ahead and bought that, and these sides for the tape dispenser came from that plate. So I actually, the video shows me making two different ones at the same time. There was one that I made with, I think it was like 10 or 12 gauge steel. So hey Hanson, how's it going? I see Iron Lover on there and Joe Hrivnik. I wonder how your Gia's going, man. We need an update video, Joe. I always think about it, you know. I sent, for those of you who don't know, this channel started with me restoring a Karmann Ghia, and we're going to talk a little bit about Volkswagens today. And when I got done with my restoration, I had extra doors and an extra deck lid and some glass and a whole bunch of things that I could have just left on my shelf and said, hey, you know, if I break something at some point, I'll have backup parts. But I wound up giving away and selling a ton of parts, and Joe bought a bunch of stuff from me. I think I packed up all the glass I had and a deck lid and some other things. So really cool to help out. Really cool to help out other YouTubers, other guys that are just into making stuff and doing stuff when you can. So I did send out a bunch of parts to Joe, and I appreciate that, Joe. But so back to this guy. Yeah, I make stuff from scrap all the time, and I've got a whole bunch of blanks for these that I'm working on right now. That'll just be running on the CNC back behind me. They'll be running all day today pretty much, and then I clean them all up by hand and get them ready to sell. And let's see, do I have one that's done? I think I should. Yeah, there we go. So this one's done. They wind up getting holes in them so you can put your tools in there and then a little piece of leather on top. And my skyscraper guitars, for those of you, hang on, I see you, Tommy Shoe. For those of you who don't know, I have a company called Skyscraper Guitars, and my company colors are orange, which is why everything around my garage, including the tape, is orange. So let's see, is the tape for sale? So I actually, if you go back, Tommy, and watch the video where I made the tape dispenser, I actually have a link in that video to Amazon to the orange tape. It took me forever to find the orange tape, and it's just packing tape. It's not duct tape. So it's kind of that thinner tape, but I use it to tape my boxes that go out for Skyscraper Guitars. It's just kind of one of those, I don't know, Tommy, you're the one who taught me, man, in terms of, you got to make things custom deluxe. It's got to look like you. And that's, when I talk about design and other things, things have to look like me around here. I mean, this whole garage is sort of a reflection. I mean, all the brick and the wood and this table that I'm sitting on, which I wish I could show. But that brings me to another thing that I'm working on in the garage. I just got 125 bits and pieces for these. This is an intonation tool that I make for the Floyd Rose. Again, another guitar tool, but this channel is about making things. And Tom's Tool Room, so Tom, he used to have a channel, he still does, called Tom's Wonderful World, where he worked on cars, which is where we met. But he's actually a machinist, and he's incredibly good. And he bought a CNC machine because I told him I could keep him busy. And so he has a Tormach, and he makes stuff for me. I think he's working every day on my stuff, which is awesome. And so I designed these in Fusion, and I made a prototype, and then Tom does the production work on them. So I just got a batch of these back and assembled them this week. And the anodizer was supposed to leave these tangs here on the end clear anodized, not orange, but he screwed up. So I guess we have a, I'm calling it the custom series, or the limited edition is what these will be called. So anyway, I'm actually working, the reason I have them out here in my garage is I'm working on the packaging, which I think, crud, I left one thing out of reach, didn't I? Yep, give me 2 seconds here, guys. Sorry about that. You get ready for a live video and you start stacking things up and you think you have everything that you wanted to talk about. But today's mission is to package them. And in the past, I've just been putting them in Ziploc bags and things like that and sending them out the door, which is great. I include some guitar picks and a sticker for Skyscraper. But I actually went and saw some packaging consultants, I guess is what they're called. They don't actually do anything. They just have connections to everybody. And they had these little clamshells on their shelf. So this is like a stock item. You don't have to have it custom made. And it just happened to be the right size, and then they can print cards. So I had them print up these pickpocket is what I call the tool, these pickpocket cards, and so they fit in here like so. If I can maybe not fumble around a little so much. So it fits in there, and then the tool itself and an Allen wrench fit in there as well. So I'll just throw this in real quick if I can. Of course, nothing works when you're trying to do it live. There we go, and an Allen wrench. So they come with an Allen wrench to operate both the tool, and everybody who plays a Floyd Rose guitar always loses their second Allen wrench, which is for this operation. So it goes in there like that. Sorry for all the reflections, guys. There we go. So it goes in there like that. It's just kind of a cool thing to show off. I know everybody in here that watches my videos makes stuff, and some people sell things, and this has got a barcode on the back. So these are on Amazon. This is for real. Amazon Prime. I sell about one a day. It's been amazing. But I'm going to use these little teeny glue dots to hold those tools in place. And I've actually got, one more design thing in there, and then I'll shut up about these. I'm not trying to sell these. That's not my point. I just want to show you how they're all made and the thought behind it. So I had them print two little white dots, if you can see those on there. And that's where the glue dots go. So the glue dots, there'll be one for the tool and one for the Allen wrench so that it won't bounce around during shipping. Hopefully keep it nice for the folks that are going to get them. But talking about Tom and Tom's Tool Room, one of the tools that you get to see in my latest video are these guys, the orange squares that we make. They are available on my website. Again, not trying to sell them or anything like that. I just think they're cool and I like to show them off. I'm going to move to the next project. So I just got done making a handful of beer caddies. I don't drink, but I was involved in a project where They were saying, if we had too many RFIs, I'd have to bring beer. And I said, well, I'm not going to bring beer. Oh, I design schools. That's what I do for a living. I said, I'm not going to bring beer to a job site or to a school, but I will bring some beer caddies. I filled them up with root beer, but that was just kind of a cool combination, CNC and handwork. I think that's important. Everybody looks at the CNC and says, oh, you can't do anything without the CNC. And, you can't make anything by hand. Most everything I make is by hand. I use the CNC a little bit here and there, mostly to create templates and to do things that are persnickety, that have to be perfect. It's real easy to just set the CNC going, or if I want to set it up and just go to work. Flipping to the next topic on the Volkswagen. Let's get into the Volkswagen. I know Joe owns a Volkswagen and some other folks do, but I just bought another set. I used Cadrons on my VW, and the set that I have on there was made for a huge engine. It's like I think they were running on a 2.2 liter, something like that, and I have a 1.9. And the Cadrons I bought were set up for the big motor. They have big Venturis on them. They have big throttle bodies on them. And the Jets, it just always hasn't worked right. So I bought another set of Cadrons. These are stock. I think they call them 2840s or 2844 or something like that. But these are stock size Venturi, stock size throttle body. I need to get them jetted, and then we're going to put them in the Ghia, and I'm hoping it'll run a little bit better. It has to be jetted for altitude. I'm at 6,400 feet right now, so it doesn't run nearly the same as it did in Kansas City, which was about 600 feet above sea level. So along that topic, I did buy some Berg linkage for dual carbs. So this stuff's really cool. These guys here, it sits just like this on your fan shroud, and when you hit the accelerator, it pulls this guy in, pushes this down, and then this didn't come with any direct linkage to the carburetors, and I was just going to build my own. And I started looking at some other folks who had the Berg linkage, and this is what Berg sells to connect Cadrons to that main piece. And I started looking at all the joints, and I guess they call this a ball joint here, all of those pieces and parts, and adding up what it would cost me just to get all the right hardware to make these things work. There's another one here that goes. And by the time I paid for the hardware, just from online, McMaster-Carr or something like that, it was totally worth it to just go ahead and buy the Berg linkage. So that's what I did. I kind of feel a little bit cheap in terms of making it, but I know this is going to take a lot of adjustment and a lot of messing around to get it right. But once it is, I've seen the linkage working on cars, and it just looks absolutely amazing. But so that'll be, it's going to take me a couple weeks to get all of that stuff together, just because I like to go slow and meticulous. And I'm actually driving the car a ton right now, so I'll probably drive it until the weather starts to get poopy, and then we'll move on. But let's see, what else have I got on the bench? I think in my description I mentioned a potter's wheel, so I'll go through that real quick. I've got some steel here. So this is just hollow, my goodness, hollow tube. There we go. I don't know. This feels like the scaffolding stuff. It probably is. It has that end on it, right? So this is old scaffolding. Just got it out of the scrap pile at the steel yard. And then I've got a piece of solid bar that will telescope into that big long piece. And then in the salvage yard, it's just one of those things, man. You can make these things. They're not hard to make. But I found one, and it had a nut on it, so I have the matching nut. So that's what I'm going to use to be able to adjust the height. So those will telescope. These two bars will telescope in each other. I'm giving away all the secrets here, right? And then I'll drill a hole and put the nut on there. Try and twist that so you can see it. Drill a hole, put the nut on there so you can adjust the height. And then I asked Gary Ramsey if he could cut me a couple circles. So this one will go on top of the table. This is what I'll weld on. Oh yeah, I didn't even mention that. The potter's wheel is for TIG welding. So setting up things that you're going to weld in a circle or around, or even straight lines, just if you need to adjust them. So this will go on top of the bench, and all the parts will sit on it. It'll be a good heat sink, I think. And I think it's 1 inch. Oh yeah. This maxed out the post office prepaid or whatever they call that, where you get up to 70 pounds. And then he cut me another one with a hole in it. So this will go down below. This will be my footrest that I'll use to turn it. So if you guys don't watch the Texas Viking, Terry, he does TIG welding. He just brings us inside of his shop a couple times a week and shows us things. That's where I saw it first. And so I'm going to kind of use what he's got going on as a blueprint for what I'm going to have. I do have back behind me another really heavy, it's like an inch or inch and a half circle, and that's going to sit on the floor, and that's going to be the pivot point for all of this stuff. So hopefully that'll be heavy enough that it won't move under normal load. So it'll be your left foot works to turn the potter's wheel, and the right foot is the gas pedal on the TIG machine. So I'm excited about getting that together. I've been trying to put it on the front of my list here for probably 3 or 4 months since Gary sent me those pieces. But I'm hoping this weekend is the weekend. I just got to do my packaging on my guitar tools, and then we'll get on to this. So I think that was kind of the ground that I wanted to cover today. I don't know if anybody out there, if anybody's even still watching, but I don't know if anybody out there has any thoughts or any questions or anything like that. If not, I'm going to sign off. And I do appreciate everybody dropping by. I always love to see the guys in the gang. So hopefully I'll make this a little bit more of a regular thing, and we'll get to cover some fun topics as we go. I'll talk to you guys later.